In 1832, the Anglo-American settlers of Mexican Texas grappled with many thorny issues. Not the least of these involved what to call them. Residents of Spanish-Mexican heritage were, and always had been, Tejanos. But what to call American Mexicans? Several designations were in contention. Texicans, Texasians, Texonians, even Texalingians. Still, the term most often employed by the people themselves was Texian. The non-Hispanic white residents of Mexican Republic, Texas, and later the Texas Republic, continued to employ Texian as an expression of self-identification until annexation to the United States in 1846. Not until the early statehood period did Texan come to predominate. Accordingly, for the remainder of this course, I will employ the idiom Texian as the most historically appropriate label. Residents of Texas, both Tejano and Texian, kept a watchful eye on affairs in Mexico City. Centralist Anastasio Bustamante had earlier deposed liberal President Vicente Guerrero. The Federalist champion attempted to regain power, but he fell into Bustamante's hands, and a reactionary cabal hauled him before a firing squad. An American official known for his disapproval of Mexicans nonetheless described Guerrero as one of the most distinguished chiefs of the revolution. The illegal execution of a national hero disgusted both Tejanos and Texians, but Guerrero was merely the latest in a long list of slain Mexican leaders. In 1824, Iturbide, also a popular idol, had faced a Federalist firing squad. During the American election of 1828, challenger Andrew Jackson had despised the incumbent president, John Quincy Adams, but he did not shoot him when he won. Some Anglo colonists began to wonder if John Quincy's father, John, had been correct. Were Latin Americans even capable of sustaining a constitutional republic? All the same, many Texian planters were delighted to learn that the author of the 1828 anti-slavery decree was now off the scene. On July 3rd, 1832, the same day that an Anahuac mob freed Patrick Jack and William Travis from confinement, Mexico lost one of its most devoted patriots, with civil war roiling the interior and Texas in revolt. General Manuel Mier y Terán could read the handwriting on the wall. Overwhelmed by events and in declining health, he retired to a quiet church and, like a Roman patrician, fell on his sword. Shortly before his suicide, he had penned a note in which he had observed,
"Texas is lost."
Just days before his death, he dispatched a final missive to Austin. In it, he lamented,
"The affairs of Texas are understood only by you and me, and the two of us are the only ones who can regulate them. But there is no time."
The general was right. He had been the only Mexican official who had truly understood conditions in that embattled province, and now he was gone. With calm temporarily restored in Texas, and Santana challenging Bustamante in the interior, Texians believed time ripe to advance their interest in a more diplomatic manner. In August of 1832, the San Felipe de Austin Ajuntamiento, town councils, announced a convention. It called for delegates representing Texas settlements to assemble there on the first day of October. Stephen F. Austin believed the meeting premature, but was unable to deter its proponents, and at length decided to play a part. 58 delegates eventually assembled in Austin's namesake town. They represented every Anglo municipality, but the Tejano enclaves, San Antonio and Victoria, declined the invitation. The caucus proved to be a predominantly Anglo affair, addressing predominantly Anglo concerns. During the 6 days that the convention remained in session, the delegates discussed several items. The delegates elected Stephen F. Austin as president of the convention, somewhat ironic considering his opposition to it, and then got down to the business of drafting a petition. It requested that the government lift the prohibition on American immigration, exempt Texas from custom duties until 1835, and, with the recent trouble in Anahuac fresh in mind, create a mechanism whereby citizens could dismiss corrupt customs officers. The request further entreated the government to disconnect Texas from Coahuila. The motion contained an explanation that Texas and Coahuila were radically different in their climate and economy. It further pointed out that Coahuila boasted 9 times the population of Texas, and its citizens routinely outvoted Texians on matters they deemed essential. The Anglo representatives were adamant, however, that their request for an independent statehood was in no way a pretext for a complete separation from the United Mexican States. Rafael Manchola, the alcalde of Goliad, arrived in San Felipe just as the convention was adjourned. He was the only Tejano delegate at the convention, and given his tardiness, his participation was negligible. Even so, Manchola offered to play a crucial role. He agreed to accompany Anglo-American representatives when they presented the petition to government officials. The appearance of a convention controlled by recent immigrants worried Manchola, Austin, and several other delegates. They hoped Mexican administrators would be more likely to accept their plea if they knew at least one Tejano had participated in its preparation. Tejanos had valid reasons for not wishing to involve themselves in these proceedings. The vast majority of the ruling elites opposed separation from Coahuila. Native Mexicans realized that the moment Texas achieved an independent legislature, they would live at the whim of Anglo colonists who already greatly outnumbered them. Ramon Musquiz, the political chief in Bayer, was a Federalist and a champion of Anglo colonization, but he was also an official of the Mexican Republic and subject to its laws and procedures. Accordingly, he ruled the San Felipe gathering out of order. In the Spanish-Mexican practice, all complaints commenced in the ajuntamientos, not in extemporized citizen assemblies. While such conventions might be commonplace in the United States of America, he chided, the Anglo settlers no longer lived in the United States of America. Musquiz assured the Texians that their petition would only serve to anger and estrange officials in Saltillo and Mexico City and do more harm than good. As a practical matter, there would be no point in forwarding the proposal as long as Bustamante and the Centralists remained in power in Mexico City. For all those reasons, he opted to exercise his authority as political chief and pocket veto the entreaty. And with that, all the labor of the Convention of 1832 came to naught. Many Texians were, of course, disappointed that their efforts at playing nicely with Mexican officials had achieved nothing. They believed that Musquiz was being over punctilious and that Mexican procedures were needlessly arcane. What do you mean the people can't call a convention whenever they want? What kind of government is that? Well, a Mexican government, as it turned out. Santana finally ousted Bustamante in December of 1832, but the convention had met the first week of October. Austin and Musquiz had been correct. The timing of the convention had been premature. Nevertheless, many Texians denounced the Mexican government and its agents as indifferent. Now, more strident voices prepared to make themselves heard.